Fuck around, make my 40 pop.
Alright guys, today I want to talk about some more spoilers about Boruto chapter 75, and obviously the big news about this particular chapter right here is Shibai, the Otsutsuki god. Now, this is something that of course we've all been talking about for a very long time, but to get some actual hardcore intel about Shibai is absolutely insane. First things first, Amato said, and I think this right here is like one of the biggest questions that I did have coming off of my last video, Shibai is currently dead. The Otsutsuki god is not necessarily alive, so he isn't necessarily going to be a big threat as of right now. It kind of went along with how I kind of viewed him as like a Hagoromo type of figure, but specifically Amato spoke about divine art, which is essentially something completely new. It's not ninjutsu and it's not senjutsu, it's shinjutsu. Like, now supposedly what sets these divine arts apart from the other jutsus is that you don't really have to use hand signs when you actually use the divine arts. But that right there is kind of interesting, man, because there are some people that are actually able to use the ninjutsus without using hand signs. So I definitely don't know specifically how that factors in, but Amato did actually give us some actual examples of what this quote-unquote shinjutsu is. He essentially said some of the abilities that Kawaki has, specifically the Daikokaten and the Sukuna Hikona, him essentially shrinking things down to a very small object, and then him essentially bringing things from a different dimension where time doesn't flow. Not only that, Ada's ability as well as a divine art, Damon's ability as well as a shinjutsu, Code's claw marks are a shinjutsu, just a bunch of stuff that we've already essentially seen from a lot of the upper echelon characters in Boruto, and no surprise why they're up at the upper echelons. They're actually using some divine arts. Now, one of the interesting things that Amato did actually say is that he believes that Shibai actually conquered death by repeatedly reincarnating using the Karma Seal for thousands of years and essentially became the Otsutsuki god. This right here is an idea that we kind of thought for Ishiki Otsutsuki, what we kind of believe that he himself was trying to do. And it's insane seeing all of this essentially be completely validated by a character who actually did something like this. But at this particular stage, I'm pretty sure you guys already know how this guy looks. This guy looks absolutely insane. He looks a little bit different from the original Otsutsuki god pictures that we did actually get, but he still kind of looks relatively the same. And this right here isn't necessarily anything too surprising me, because of course we didn't necessarily expect a direct replica of the Otsutsuki god from what we did actually get to see at first. But this right here, man, I definitely do want to see how this is going to look when it comes to the anime, and hopefully we do get to see a little bit more scenes of Otsutsuki god. I am pretty damn sure it's like a matter of time before Boruto himself starts to use some of this divine art. But pivoting off of the Otsutsuki god stuff, we definitely do have to talk about this Boruto Momoshiki situation. Boruto and Momoshiki, they're getting more and more like each other, and this right here could possibly be a very good thing, or this could possibly be a very bad thing, depending on where you guys are looking at it from. But specifically in this particular situation, it seems like it did actually help Boruto out. I do want to reiterate this is the spoilers. We aren't necessarily seeing the chapter, so if I'm misinterpreting specifically the spoilers, we're going to confirm everything when the chapter actually does come out. But it seems that Boruto was essentially reading Momoshiki's mind. It's kind of like how Momoshiki was handling Boruto a little bit earlier, and it's kind of like we did actually hear about some dialogue between Momoshiki and Boruto in this particular chapter. This right here on the surface is absolutely huge, and I'm probably going to get into this a little bit more when the chapter actually does come out. But Boruto now being able to readily talk to Momoshiki, that right there is huge. But in this particular situation, they were having a dialogue specifically about the divine arts and shinjutsu, and Momoshiki kind of agreed. He essentially said that Amato was telling the truth. However, an interesting thing did actually happen. He didn't necessarily confirm that Amato's quote-unquote love ability was actually a shinjutsu, which kind of leads a lot of people to believe that it's possible that Amato was actually lying in that particular situation, which wouldn't necessarily be a big of a surprise to me, because Amato up until this point hasn't necessarily been the most forthcoming. But not only that, one of the other big things that we did actually get to see specifically at the end of this chapter, and I'm pretty sure they're going to tap into a little bit more in chapter 76, Momoshiki mistakenly shown Boruto his fate, which is essentially what Momoshiki has been talking to Boruto about for the longest. Now we finally get to see. Now, in the actual image that was leaked to us, we didn't necessarily get to see a lot of information. It's possible that Kawaki was turning against Team 7. We've seen a Mitsuki in Sage mode. Not only that, we've seen Sarda as well. Just a bunch of things that did actually happen in that particular scene that I'm pretty sure we're not going to get damn near any information about this in the next chapter. But I'm super pumped to see exactly what happens from this. And one of the ideas that have kind of been bubbling up is the possibility of Kawaki turning on Team 7, as I said a little bit earlier. Now it'll be like a very sticky situation with everybody in the Hidden Leaf Village, mainly because if Boruto already understands that Kawaki is going to eventually turn on everybody, like, it's going to be awkward in the Hidden Leaf Village. But This right here is an insane scene. A Momoshiki kind of explained Boruto seeing his visions or kind of being able to communicate with them. It's like him being corrupted. There's like a bunch of things. It's very complicated. We're probably gonna find out a lot more when the chapter does actually come out. But this right here, from what I'm seeing, was not in Momoshiki's control. If Momoshiki would have had a choice, this right here would not have happened. The spoils kind of pointed to Boruto being resurrected, and that right there essentially being the moment where Boruto started to be corrupted. So I definitely do want to monitor this particular situation, especially them being in the quote-unquote content house with, you know, Ada, Damon, and Kawaki being in there as well. It's going to be a big mess. But let me know what you guys think about this chapter in the comment section down below. This right here is getting crazy, man. I definitely do want to see exactly how they continue and build off of this. But it's been your boy, and we out.
It's a knife.